Well, Mississippi State's transfer portal class is pretty much complete. Now it's time to grade it.
You are Locked On Mississippi State, your daily podcast on the Mississippi State Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, welcome in. This is the Locked On Mississippi State podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. I'm Jaron Spor, nearly a decade in journalism and a national college football writer with Athlon Sports, joined by my co-host Landon McBride, a longtime journalist and college sports fanatic. This is your daily home for all things Mississippi State. Today, we're going to look at Mississippi State's transfer portal class, give it a grade, and we're laying out early expectations for next season before wrapping things up with a look at two Mississippi State basketball legends getting their jerseys retired. Our everydayers, stick around at the end. We'll talk about how we can make your experience even better. Also, we're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter with daily videos Monday through Friday, so make sure to like and subscribe over there as well. Also, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. All right, Landon, so taking a look at the transfer portal class, pretty much done. Obviously, there's some little tweaks that can happen. One of the big ones is obviously if Jordan Seaton commits to Mississippi State. But yeah, I mean, there's just some little things that can happen. 21 commits overall. They are the 15th ranked transfer portal class in the SEC. But I'm gonna give it a. I'm going back and forth between C+ and B-. I'm gonna go B- just because we were very critical. We liked a lot of the additions on the defense line, but we were critical about the offensive line. And those were the two biggest things that we both agreed had to get corrected. And then as soon as we got critical, they start rattling off offensive linemen. And again, I don't know how many guys are going to make an immediate impact and things like that. You won't know until the season goes.
Right.
But I overall thought it was solid. The offensive line class, in my opinion, is holding it back from being a B+ to an A- because it's not a great, but it's not bad either. It's a solid class with several guys that have pretty high upside.
Yeah, I was kind of in the C to C+ range. Now, obviously, if some of these offensive linemen end up hitting, then that could launch it up. But none of them are really guys, obviously excluding if Jordan Seaton comes, that are exciting that are day one starters. Like, obviously, some of them will be because they kind of have to be, even if they aren't guys that make you excited they're there. It's just there are a bunch of good transfers. Some of them had very high, high school recruiting rankings, but for whatever reason, either injuries or been behind someone, they just haven't gone anywhere. So it's guys that may be really good, but also we don't know what they are yet, which kind of feels like last year, which we all kind of know how that turned out. But besides that, on the offense, didn't add a running back, which is kind of strange to me. I mean, there's still a chance they do with someone who's in the portal. You did get the backup quarterback, which is good. And then Marquis Johnson, obviously big get for a wide receiver room. But you lost a lot more in that wide receiver room than you brought out of it. So the offense, I don't want to say it got worse, but it feels like it did. I'm sure it'll probably be better with Kamario Taylor at quarterback next year. We'll get more into that next thing, but it feels like you lost more than you gained offensively in the transfer portal.
Yeah, it's hard because that, they obviously didn't replace a guy like Brennan Thompson, but on the flip side, coming into the year, we didn't think Brennan Thompson was going to be Brennan Thompson. So that's the kind of the hard thing about it is, because there's some guys in that they did get like Marquis Johnson, that it's like, okay, this guy could be that Brennan Thompson type player. And then obviously you get Anthony Evans back, who should kind of be your focal point, which early in the year, I thought Anthony Evans was probably the better one of the two. Then Brennan kind of took off more. And I still feel like Anthony was the more complete overall receiver. I just think that Brennan was the better big play receiver, and so he ended up finishing with more yards and things like that. But on the running back thing, I do agree with that. Gavin Sawchuk is still out there, and that's one that I'm surprised we haven't really heard Mississippi State be kicking the tires around. But they must really like Fluff. and think he'll stay healthy, which we all like Fulp, but I'm saying in terms of like his health and stuff.
Right.
Because it was nice having that kind of Booth fluff backfield. And Gavin could be that. That's why I'm kind of surprised they haven't really kicked the tires there much. But, there's some I just want people to realize, like, you can't view every transfer portal class equally. Every team needs stuff different. Every team has limitations. So I can't look at, like, if I'm grading their class compared to LSU's number 1 ranked class, then it's an F or a D minus. Like, but that's totally two different things. LSU's attract different kind of players than Mississippi State has. They're gonna have different needs than Mississippi State. Like, one of their big needs was quarterback. They nailed the guy. They got the guy that people think is the number 1 ranked quarterback in the transfer portal class. We've seen him play Mississippi State twice. We've seen him throw for 80 yards twice. Like, so he hasn't been great against, but he's the number 1 ranked. And Landon and I both like Sam Levis. So I don't want to act like he's not a good player. He's just struggled against Mississippi State. But and they ran for 400 yards in those games. So it's like there's another thing to it. But he still didn't play great in either one of those. But my point is, like, they needed a quarterback. They went and got the top quarterback. Well, we didn't need a quarterback. So, like, you can't really compare the two the same. And so that's why I do think it's a B minus. I agree with you with the run. I feel like running back and offensive line were the two areas that I didn't feel like they did enough in. Offensive line, I think they did quite a bit.
They did enough in terms of bodies. I would have liked slightly higher impact guys.
There's a couple guys that I think it's going to be a better offensive line than last year, just to be clear. It's not going to go from a terrible offensive line to a good offensive line unless you get Seton. I think it might be terrible to average or slightly below.
Got to go to average.
I think that's kind of what you'll see next year, unless some of these guys hit, or the guys below them develop. Like, stuff like that happens, then that's a different conversation.
Yeah. Now for the positive side, I'm very excited about the defensive line. I am going to say that with we'll figure out how to pronounce his name by the time the season starts. Daelyn Evans, him, Amaree Williams, and Jayson Jenkins. Those 3 guys, I think Evans and Williams could be game changers. Like, they might be legitimate stars on the defensive line. And Jenkins is a high-end role player, a guy who, if he's your starter, as long as he's not supposed to be the star of your defensive line, you feel pretty good about that. Right. And you have those 3 guys with Will Whitson. That makes me feel pretty good about the defensive line. And then the other addition, Gus Cordova, pretty solid guy coming out of high school. Didn't really do anything in college yet. So another kind of like the offensive line. He may be good. He may be nothing. We're not really sure.
When she's a freshman, and you shouldn't expect much from him. So I mean, he's probably right on pace to what many thought he would be. But yes, he's not done much.
And then a ton of bodies in the defensive backfield. A lot of safeties, a lot of corners.
Well, that's the thing. I think they did a really good job in the backfield. I just don't think it was a major necessity, but I think they nailed it.
They did great.
I love Kendall Dolby. I love Jamrock. Marquis Williams.
Jordan
Gilbert.
Jr. I think is the best one out of all of them. I think he might be a legitimate stud at corner.
Quentin Taylor Jr.
Yeah, the Iowa State.
Yeah, I think he's going to be elite. Like I think he's going to be that guy right next to Kelly Jones that you're very happy with.
Defensively, though, what are we doing with linebacker? That's a concern to me. I would have liked another body or 2 in there, but pretty solid. I feel better about the defensive half of the transfer portal than I do the offensive half.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to make of that. I don't know what this says about me. Because the defense was so bad last year. And they brought in some good places, but it's not like they overhauled the entire defense. So it's kind of weird to feel really good about the defense with, I guess it's because they have the high end pieces like Amaree Williams, Daelyn Evans, Taylor Jr. Those are 3 guys I think could be game changers defensively. And you got 3 of them. Offense, the receiver, Marquis Johnson. I mean, he's the only one really that I think could really change the game offensively. And you need him to replace your last transfer wide receiver that changed the game offensively.
Yeah, and I do like Riley Williams, the tight end from Oregon State. But yeah, I mean, and at least on the positive side, Jeff Lebby is still there calling plays. So you at least have a really good offensive mind. You forgot the biggest transfer portal pickup defensively, and that would be the defense coordinator, Zach Arnett. Because when you go from what you had last year, again, they were pretty good early in the season, but kind of tailored off. That's at least a big boost. And then you get on top of that, get some more guys in there, especially on the defensive line. Like, you should see a pretty improved unit on that side of the football.
I thought you were going to say the biggest transfer portal addition, keeping Isaac Smith.
That too. I mean, that is a bit, and Kelly Jones, not letting him go pro or go to a different suitor. Like, those are two massive ones for them for sure. And then getting that extra year from Will Whitson. I mean, those were big for them for sure. All right, coming up next, we're going to give our very early expectations for next football season, including looking through the 2026 football schedule. What kind of record do we foresee? Yeah, there still could be some additions in the portal. Overall, it shouldn't change too much in the game. And I mean, if you get Seaton and Sawchuk, maybe that adds a game or two wins. But we'll look at that. That's coming up next.
There's nothing like college football season, tailgates, packed stadiums, and being right there in the middle of it all. The energy, the bands, the moments you remember forever. But actually getting tickets, that part used to be frustrating with long queues, logins, and prices jumping at checkout. That's why Game Time gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to unlock amazing college football tickets and experiences in just a few taps. And the app is incredibly easy to use. You go from browsing to buying tickets in just a couple of minutes. And my favorite part about Game Time is you can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what you're getting before you get to the stadium. And knowing those prices include all of the fees up front makes the whole process stress-free. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And again, that's code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today.
All right. Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. If you haven't already, go check out our new Everydayer Club, access to an ad-free audio feed for Locked On Mississippi State, compatible with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and every other major podcast app. And invite to the members-only Locked On Everydayer Club Discord server, which includes a group chat just for listeners of this show. Landon and I are in that. We'd love to chit-chat with you, talk about some rumors, especially some recruiting rumors, as we're now into the offseason, fully on into the offseason, and the transfer portal is pretty much wrapping up. We'll talk about some team rumors, some recruiting rumors, all of that in that Discord chat. So go to the URL that's in the show notes, tap that, and you can learn more information about the Everydayer Club. All right, Landon, why don't we just go kind of a game-by-game basis of what we think would happen? Obviously, this is our very early season picks.
Don't hold us to this.
Yeah, you can hold us to the one we do right before the season starts, like we did this past year. We both picked 6-6. We went 5-7.
Pretty close.
Not bad. We were pretty good. And that was after people said 3 wins. So that was kind of the over-under 3.5, and we went with 5. So we ended up went with 6. We were pretty close to getting that one right on. UL Monroe to start the season at Starkville, like that should be a win.
Yeah, that's an easy one. That's one. You can hold me to that pick. You can hold me to that one.
I also think, even though it's on the road, Minnesota, that's one you should win.
I do too.
If you're going to take the jump we think you can take, you got to win that one.
And Minnesota hasn't done anything recently to make you think they're building.
They're solid.
They're decent, and it's September, so you don't have to worry about any weird snow game happening.
All right.
So I think it's a pretty easy win.
Then the big question is, because you go to South Carolina, they have Lenore Sellers back, they have Dylan Stewart back. Does the South Carolina from 2 years ago show up, or the South Carolina from last year shows up? That's the hard part. If the South Carolina from last year shows up, I think you win. If the one from 2 years ago shows up, you lose. So that's kind of my opinion on that one. But I think that's a statement game, like one way or the other. You find out how good you really are.
It's a coin flip right now. I mean, depending on which day you ask me, would be which way I'd pick it.
Yeah.
I'm going to lean win just because I'm feeling optimistic in January when we record this one. But that's a tough one to pick right now.
That's one of the harder ones, I think, on the whole schedule. Missouri would be next at home. I actually think you beat Missouri. A main reason why I'm not the biggest believer in Austin Simmons, and I wasn't when he was at Ole Miss either. I see some of the traits that they like, but I remember writing stories for Athlon about Austin Simmons and why people were high on Ole Miss, and it was because of Austin Simmons. Now they ended up having a great year, but it was because of Trinidad. But it was like that's what everyone was Austin Simmons, and I'm like, and I went back and looked at his numbers and looked at some of the stuff he had done. Outside of the one, which was a great drive against Georgia, don't get me wrong, he had one great drive against Georgia. He wasn't that good that year. And then this year, he really wasn't good until, and then obviously he lost his job to Trinidad. But yeah, he wasn't really that great. So now they do have Ahmad Hardy back. And so the running game is the big question mark. Can you stop the running game? But they lose Damon Wilson on the defense. Like,
they lose their other edge rusher to the draft. So
yes, I think that's one you can win at home.
Yeah, with it being at home, that one felt like a easy pick to me to pick a win because Missouri's gonna have a lot of questions, and it's still early in the year where they haven't had time to figure those questions out. Yeah, we saw last year they didn't have to throw the ball because Ahmad Hardy ran wild. Right. But if you can force them to throw the ball, I think you have a decent chance of winning that one.
Yep. Alabama next at home again. I think that's a game you can actually win just because Alabama seems to lose games like this under Kalen DeBoer, but I would pick Alabama if you ask me today. The big question is, what do they do at quarterback? Is it Austin Mack, Keelan Russell, the 5-star? Like, what do they end up doing now that Simpson's gone? But still, I would pick Alabama in that one.
Yeah, I'd pick Alabama, but like you mentioned, this is one I wouldn't be shocked if this is one we could pull off the big upset on because got them at home, and Bama drops one of these every year now with DeBoer in charge.
Yeah. And honestly, their next 3 games at LSU, Oklahoma at home, at Texas, I think they lose all 3.
I do too. If you wanted to sell me on shocking LSU with, shut down Sam Leavitt once again, then I could maybe be convinced on that one. But I don't know how you move the ball against that OU defense. It's going to be good again. Offense should be better this year than it was last year. And then with what Texas has done in the portal, I mean,
the last couple of years.
Yeah, and you're going to Austin, so I think that's a tough win. I'm hoping for a 1-2 in that stretch, but 0-3 is not going to surprise me at all.
Yeah, so that means I have them with 4 or 5 losses at this point, depending on what happens in the South Carolina game. I do think they beat Vanderbilt just because I want to see Vanderbilt without Diego and things like that. So I will pick them to beat Vanderbilt.
Yeah, Vanderbilt's losing a lot on top of just Pavia. They're losing a ton of those players, and you have them at home. So, yeah, I'd pick in this one as a win too.
And I think they beat Auburn and then Tennessee Tech right after that. So I think boom, back-to-back wins. I think they beat Auburn because Auburn lost a ton in the transfer portal. They haven't been able to build a lot back. You obviously lost some recruits with the Hugh Freeze firing. They lost every quarterback that they had. Now, I like Byron Brown, but they also lost their top 3 wide receivers. So I think they beat Auburn. I think Auburn's going to have one of they've always been a 5 or 6 win team the last 4 or 5 years. I think they actually have a really bad season this year, like a 3-win type of season.
Yeah, if Auburn completely falls apart next year, I'm not going to be surprised. I think it's going to be a big learning curve for them. I'm not going to call it an easy win, but since you have them at home, it's pretty easy for me to pick against that Auburn team, especially right now.
And so that brings it all down to Ole Miss. Are you an 8-win team or are you a 7-win team? That's what it's coming down to because of how we have the schedule laid out. I'm going to say that they beat Ole Miss next year in Oxford. And the reason, as of right now, and the reason is Trinidad's gone. I like Austin Simmons right now more than Deuce Knight. He's gone. You lost a couple of their defense guys, including Prince Will. Which did he commit to LSU? I think he's going to go to LSU, but I don't know if he's committed there. And then TJ Daugherty, which I don't think this happened, but this is kind of the funny little side note. But the whole thing with Ole Miss and the NIL numbers getting leaked to the players. And so a lot of the players getting upset that such and such is making more than them and all this stuff. And so that's resulted in a couple of the guys entering the portal. My favorite rumor is that Lane leaked it,
Yeah.
but I don't think that actually happened. It just would be the funniest thing ever. Yeah, it'd be the funniest thing ever. But especially because two of the guys that entered since that result came out are either at LSU or rumored to be at LSU, so it's just kind of funny. But I think they can get him next year. I am not. I know they won 2 playoff games under Pete Golding.
They still had
sold on him.
They still had the offensive staff,
right? And they had a stacked Lane Kiffin team still.
Yeah. I'm not sold now. If Chambliss wins his lawsuit and gets an extra year,
yeah,
I'm gonna
then
pick
it's different. Then I got
Ole Miss to win that one. But as of right now, with him gone, I didn't get him. I mean, I know Golding has built a decent defense, but will the NIL money keep flowing as freely without Lane there? And what is the offense going to look like? Because he's going to have to hire an offensive staff. Pretty much that entire staff went with Lane. So,
which did I remember correctly? Did they hire the guy from East Carolina?
I think so, but
is that who they hired?
I think so, because I know North Texas OC went there, so I think he must have.
Yeah, I think they did. But and also you mentioned that Pete Golding's done really well defensively, and he has, but a lot of that was because of the guys that Lane Kiffin was able to pull in the portal.
The NIL
and this year they do have the second best class in the SEC in the transfer portal, but they got none of the 5-star prospects. They have 8 4-stars, which is quite a bit, but they have 16 3-stars. So it's a lot of 3-star prospects in the portal. So we'll see what happens. But all right, coming up next, 2 basketball legends got their jersey retired. We're going to talk about that big honor and just what it means to the program. All right. Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right. So it was announced I believe it was over the weekend, that Eric Dampier and Jeff Malone are getting their jerseys retired, number 25 and number 24. So no players will ever be able to wear that. Again, just kind of recapping their careers. Eric Dampier spent 3 years at Mississippi State in the 93-94 season, all the way to the 95-96 season. He shot 59% from the field for his career. He averaged 9.2 rebounds per game, 2.7 blocks per game, and scored 13.2 points per game. He scored over 1,000 points in his career. Obviously had a long career in the NBA as well. He was the first-round pick, 10th pick in the draft of the 96 draft, which is, people don't know, that's one of the best drafts in NBA history with the Indiana Pacers. Is where he went. But that was the draft where number 1 was Allen Iverson. Kobe Bryant went number 13. Like Ray Allen went number 5. Marcus Camby, Antoine Walker, Stephon Marbury. Like there was
Steve Nash in there too.
Steve Nash was in there. It was a really, really good draft. And Derek Fisher was in there too, longtime champion. So
yeah, I mean, well deserved. He was a player I really enjoyed watching, and just because of when their careers took place, I'm much more familiar with the Dampier than I am.
Well, especially in the Dallas area, because he played for the Mavs for a while. So
played for the Mavs for a long time. So saw that run. Yeah, I mean, great honor, fun player to watch, and I always enjoyed getting him on NBA. Was it 2K or NBA Live or whatever it was back then? He was one of my favorite centers to get, just because you gobbled up every rebound with him on that game.
It's still crazy because he spent 16 years in the NBA, played 6 years with Dallas, which was his second longest stint with any team. He spent 7 years with Golden State. That was his longest.
Yeah. Crazy how long it was.
This was the 09 and 10 season. Then he went to Miami for the 2010-2011 season, which was the year Dallas beat Miami. So it kind of sucks for him.
Yeah, that was one of the things I looked up right when this happened. Was I couldn't remember which way that flipped. I knew he wasn't there for the title, but I couldn't remember when he left. But yeah, he was a rough run there. But I mean, talking about great runs though, Jeff Malone, the amount of points that man put up in college is nuts. Averaging almost 27 points his senior year. And did it on 53% shooting too. That's as a guard, unheard of.
Yeah, he averaged 12 points as a freshman, then went to 20, then went to 18.6, then 26.8. Shot 49% as a sophomore, 55% as a junior, then 53% as a senior. also went 10th in the NBA draft. He went to the Washington Bullets and the 1983 draft, which that's the one that had, Ralph Sampson. Again, it was a really good one too. Byron Scott was in that draft. Dale Ellis was in that draft. Derek Harper, Clyde Drexler was in that draft. So it was a really good draft. John Paxson was in that draft.
Oh.
Doc Rivers was in that draft. Like, it was a really solid draft as well. And then he ended up spending 13 years in the NBA, averaged 19 points for his career, was a 2-time All-Star, went a stretch of 5 straight seasons of averaging 20 points or more. So yeah, I mean, he was just a heck of a player, heck of a career.
Yeah, great career, great. I mean, both in college and in the NBA. And I always like these kind of things, honoring the legends. That's something it's one of my favorite things in sports, when a number gets retired, or in football, all the teams with their ring of honors putting up people's names. It's one of my favorite traditions in sports. So this is and considering I watched the majority of Eric Dampier's career, it's just it's another fun one to see kind of him honored.
Yeah, for sure, and well deserved. So yes. All right, well, thanks for tuning in today to the Locked On Mississippi State podcast. If there's any other portal news, we'll talk about that tomorrow, so don't worry about that. We'll also break down the national championship game that happened yesterday on Monday. Just haven't been able to get to it yet. We'll talk about that tomorrow as well. So make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On Mississippi State so you get all the latest episodes. Remember, we're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter with daily videos Monday through Friday. If you never miss an episode, the Everyday Club is built for you. Get Locked On Mississippi State ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to the custom link in the show notes to join the club. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen Locked On College Football. For Locked On Mississippi State, I'm Jaron. That's Landon. Until next time, Hail State.
Hail State.